Hey y'all, I want to leave a short message here about why I decided to ask my music be pulled off of Spotify. So check this out.
No white people. Says, okay, take me to this one. And the guy goes, okay. I goes, is that in a good neighborhood? He's like, oh, yeah. Guy barely speaks English. He takes us there. We get out and we're giggling. Oh, we're going to see Planet of the Apes. We walk into Planet of the Apes. We walked into Africa, dude. We walked in the door and there was no white people. It says, okay, take.
I empathize with the people who are leaving for the COVID disinformation reasons, and I think that they should. I also think that Joe Rogan has the right to say what he wants to say. I also think that I have the right to say what I want to say. So as an artist who builds, Spotify is built on the back of the music streaming. So they take this money that's built from streaming and they pay this guy $100 million, but they pay us 0.003% of a penny. Just take me off. I don't want to generate money that pays this. Just take me off. That's where I'm at. And I know that I'm actually, to be honest with you, surprised that my statements were picked up, because I thought people weren't really going to listen to me, because that's what I'm used to from the industry. But I'm glad that I am being heard, and for that reason, I want to clarify my statements. Again, this is why. Watch this.
Like, you know,
The nigger thing.
yes.
Saying the word nigger.
Well, you've already said nigger.
D is just like nigger. Saying nigger.
She's calling you a nigger. It's like this
Boy, that he's a nigger, but starts calling them niggers. Word nigger. There should be a word like nigger, especially like the word nigger. That's our nigger.
about niggers.
He says nigger. Guy, a nigger. And there are niggers. Start saying nigger. Allowed to use the word nigger. Out the word nigger. See nigger. Word nigger. Say nigger, and you couldn't say nigger. And most nigger.
So we know how social media can be. Things can be doctored. People are taken out of context. It's happened to me many times. However, I want to be clear in no uncertain terms. Where I stand on this is that he shouldn't even be uttering the word. Don't even say it under any context. Don't say it. That's where I stand. It's my right to stand there. I have always stood there. I have other feelings about it, but those are nuances that are not meant for this moment. He shouldn't even be saying it. And so the confluence of energies comes into play here. So now we have this person who is offensive to a lot of people, who's paid $100 million. Spotify, the backbone of Spotify is the music. So you pay the musicians that are the backbone of your business 0.003 to 0.005% of a penny, and you take this money that you generate over here, because all the rest of it goes somewhere. The subscription fees go somewhere. So you take this money that's generated over here and you use it to invest in this guy. Do what you want, but take me off. Or pay me too. And I don't just mean me, I mean us. Artists like me, pay us too. Pay podcasters of color too. So artist relations from Spotify called me yesterday and they asked me what I want, and I've been thinking about this all night. I'm not going to say it all here, but what I want to say to you is something that I already knew, but I want you to know that they said it last night. Most of the streams on Spotify are Black music, but we know that if you're paying attention at all, you understand the role of Black music in this world. So that's a deeper.
Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly. There's a video that's out that's a compilation of me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there's no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word, never mind publicly on a podcast. And I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time, when I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context, people would understand what I was doing. Like that context was part of the clip we were talking about Red Fox, how Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s and how times have changed so much since then. Or about how Richard Pryor used it as one of the titles of one of his albums. Or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was quoting a Paul Mooney bit, or I was talking about how Quentin Tarantino used it repeatedly in Pulp Fiction, or I was talking about how a Netflix executive, ironically, used it because he was trying to compare it to another offensive word, and he said it out loud, and they fired him. Not calling anybody or just saying the word out loud. I was also talking about how there's not another word like it in the entire English language, because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it in so many different ways. Like if a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it and it could be a punchline. It could be a term of endearment. It could be lyrics to a rap song. It could be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word, but it's not my word to use. I'm well aware of that now, but for years I used it in that manner. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist, but whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you fucked up. And I clearly have fucked up.
Is a series of videos showing Joe Rogan using multiple times, having him make a joke about black people in the Planet of the Apes in Africa, having him talking about, the black body and the white body and the white brain. And there are a series of these videos. And Joe Rogan rightfully says that those videos were taken out of context. They were taken out of context. But they were not taken out of character, because you don't have, and that was a compilation, and you don't get a compilation unless you have said a lot of things a lot of time. Compilations is the best of, the greatest hits. It's an anthology. You know how long and how prolific you got to be to get an anthology? Earth, Wind, and Fire got an anthology. So let's not pretend like it doesn't exist. It happened. And it happened, and the reason we're talking about it right now is not because people were so incensed that they found out that these tropes were being used on Joe Rogan's podcast. They're mad because of his spread of misinformation. That's why Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and Arie, among many artists, want their music taken off the platform. Because the truth of the matter is, you cannot spread misinformation, but you can. You can do that all day long, because specifically, it is what that audience wants. It's interesting. Michael Richards, it was a big uproar. He lost gigs and couldn't come on TV. Bill Maher, 5 years ago, it was such an insane. I was in Cabo San Lucas, and I get a news alert, and my publicist calls me and said, Bill Maher on TV. The next week, Ice Cube had to come on Bill Maher's show. So Bill Maher give it attitude. Joe Rogan has a compilation and nothing at all, because that is what that audience wants. And Joe Rogan rightfully says he felt comfortable saying it. Why wouldn't you? When you say it all the time, your audience doesn't say anything, your corporate partners don't say anything, so you feel entitled. And let's be clear. He didn't, Spotify didn't deal with him in spite of, they deal with him because he said it. Because nothing's edgier than a white dude walking that line and saying those things. And nothing's more attractive to people of a like mind than a white dude saying it. It's interesting how you learn where the bodies are at. They got right now Spotify is taking 120 episodes off, because how do you get to 120 episodes unless you know where they are? 120 episodes is the first 6 seasons of Friends.
The first thing we want to get into about the situation with Joe Rogan, and we want to get into it right quick. When you look at a situation like this, you have to look at it from a critical point of thinking, right? Because most likely, as human beings, we're going to come at it with an emotional mind state, especially if it affects us personally. So So I looked at the situation and I started to have to think about it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm a brother. And I started going over it. And I thought, man, I've seen this before, right? Because now I'm not coming at it from an emotional point. I'm coming at it from with a critical mind, right? I've seen this happen with 3 other celebrities. With Kevin Hart, David Chappelle, and Ellen DeGeneres, right? So somebody has to go way out of their way to dig up stuff about you. That's a lot of work. They got to go way out of their way to dig up stuff. And we saw as soon as Kevin got in trouble, we saw it was diffused because Ellen helped him, right? Being part of the LGBT community, right? So the same thing with Joe Rogan. I saw the video and I was like, man, if he has that many videos, what work would it take to put a video like that together, to go through each video and find all of the times he said the N-word? It's not like he's a rapper, right? He said it a lot of times, but in comparison to all the video time, oh my gosh, that is such hard work. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for a person to do. We know it's definitely possible. But for you to find it, oh my gosh, man. It'll be easy to probably make an algorithm that just finds the N-word in every video that he made and just put it together, which probably somebody was able to do. And it probably wasn't a small team, you know, like some random person off the street. Somebody had skill or either had the know-how and power to put something like that together. Also, too, I was listening to what Hughley was speaking about, and I was like, yeah, if this guy's been talking like this forever, and he brings in a certain type of audience, now we just not getting on this guy? As people of color, brown or black? I'm like, we should have taken care of this a long time ago, as with certain ethnic communities would do when they're talking about certain sensitive situations. We're not going to wait till like a certain point. Dale Hughley made his point, and I was like, yeah, man, this is what's going on, it looks like, from my perspective. I'm like, why make a video of it? Why don't you just get off the platform, you know, and just get your own, right? Take responsibility for yourself, your own actions, and then, you know, go out and, you know, make that bread for yourself, right? Like, oh, okay, they're not giving me what I need over here. I went to everybody. Okay, well, you go and make your own. You know, that's something that, you know, the black community needs to do, right? Why wait months later or years later to speak up about what's going on with this situation? He said that, from I've seen the video too, one of the very first things he spoke about was misinformation. I was like, okay, now we're talking about a state of opinion, assumptions, you know, something that can be looked into. I says, why make it about that? I thought we were just talking about this. I'm like, because if we're talking about this, we've known this guy to talk about sensational type of topics constantly. What's taking so long? Same thing with these certain individuals. Then I'm thinking, who has this much amount of animosity towards this man to put something like that together? I don't want to say it was his sister, you know. I don't want to say it was Indy. If it was, well, man, it makes no sense once again, because it's saying that, well, I'm getting off this platform because of this person. But aren't we doing the same thing? Don't most human beings live by the golden rule? As it is in the Bible, it's a little bit different. Don't judge those unless you be judged for the same measure you judge those, it'll be measured to you. I think the golden rule goes like, treat others how you want to be treated. Right? So it's somewhat similar. So it's like, well, why did we want to put this man in this position when we could destroy his career? and bring that type of situation up about his dirt when we don't want anybody bringing up our dirt about. And she just said it. She says, well, things have been taken out of context when I've said things. Well, do we want to do that with his situation? Let's say, for instance, he actually did mean it. Well, is that the type of place we want to put ourselves into? Like, okay, we're being like him. Or do we want to, be in a better position to set the example for other people and everything? Like, let's talk about Joe Biden or Trump, right? We got to understand, these are all human beings. All of them are flawed. So we don't want anybody digging up any of our garbage, place in front of the world to judge us. Like I could imagine if, man, somebody did that to somebody I love, my family member, and I know, like, okay, this guy, he's not perfect. He says a lot of stupid stuff, but good gracious, do we want to still be put in that same seat? Me as an individual, as a black man, seeing that whether it was true or not, all the top of the negative content that has been put out there for us, I don't want to turn around and do that to somebody else. And I might do it too. And at the same time, I want somebody to forgive me and not judge me. So now you have to think critically. Is this about his character or is this something else? That's what you really have to bring it down to. Because once again, us as blacks, African Americans, or whatever you represent yourself as, descendants of Africa, mixed or whatever, brown, black, or whatever, the Asiatic black man, now we have to start doing for ourselves, right? We want to say, okay, well, if we're going to start talking about these people who say the N-word, well, first we want to check ourselves first, right? Okay, or am I using it? And if I'm using it, and if I'm allowing my own people to use it, that puts me in the same position, because I do know people of my same ethnic group that actually don't care for other minorities, other blacks, other Hispanics. They really don't care for them. They are, as they say, racist or anything like that, or judgmental or prejudiced. So if I know those people are like that for me, and I know I've had that same type of hatred for my own people and everything, somebody's trying to kill me, I'm like, okay, they're going to get at me or try to fight me on the street. Well, then how am I acting towards others? I can't have that same judgment for others, and I'm not fixing myself. So first I'll fix my own self, and then we want to start holding people accountable, right? Or vice versa. Let's fix them and then fix us. But one way or another, it has to stop. Like, okay, well, we can't let them do it, and we can't let ourselves do it too. We got to both hold each other accountable, because now we're pointing a finger, as it says in the good book. It talks about, a speck of sawdust in your brother's eye where you have a plank in the New Testament. So, we don't have to be a part of other people's community. We can go and get our own. It reminded me of this situation on The Walking Dead when, I forget this guy, he was trying to take over and he was talking to Negan. And he was like, Rick is a problem, Negan. And it was a funny thing because Negan recognized that this guy was trying to play him. And he was saying, hold on. Now you got Rick out here, don't like me, and he's out here trying to do what he needs to do for his people to survive. And you behind his back trying to take over. And then, despite the emotions that Negan had against Rick or whatever and everything, he wasn't able to be fooled or misled by what was going on. It's like, okay, well, this guy, he's coming in trying to take over for Rick and everything. Okay, get one of my enemies out, right? He just saw right through him, is what I want to say. Is there something afoot about this?
So I gotta ask, if you want to take over, why not just kill Rick yourself and just take over?